What is up, guys? Bachman back at you again with a different video. This is a 2007 TTR 125 motor. This is from my 2007 TTR. Basically, you can see that the engine's completely ripped down for the most part, top end wise. I am going to be doing the infamous big bore kit that you can get from BBR. I've had this kit for a while. It is a TTR 125 150 performance engine kit. This is everything it comes with. You have wrist pins, circlips, piston rings, performance cam, performance high dome piston, and gaskets with a cylinder. This kit will run you $399.99, not including shipping. All said and done, I think I was somewhere around 411, 400, somewhere between 411, 415 bucks. Great kit if you want to do this for, I mean, the kit is honestly not worth it. I've never ridden one as a 150. They can't honestly add that much power, but there's a few things that you need to do with the 150 kit to really make these things come alive. They recommend you do the high flow air filter kit, which I'm just going to be making my own high airflow air filter kit. They want you to change out the main and pilot jet and an exhaust. I have everything except for the jets, and the kit is not in yet, obviously. But I want to show you, this is a stock piston and the stock cylinder. It's very clean. This thing has a good amount of hours on it, but I was never really beaten on. So yeah, this is a stock piston. You can see the valve releases in there. They're pretty shallow, and it is not a domed piston. It is a flat top piston. This is the 150 piston. You can clearly see the valve releases are obnoxiously bigger, and it is a domed piston. So you have higher compression, and it needs the valve releases to be bigger because of the performance cam allows the valves to open more and more aggressively. So that's where they get the displacement, and it's obviously bigger. It might not seem like it with the rings that are still on this piston. If I took those off, it would look obnoxiously smaller. Hard to tell. The camera doesn't do its justice. I'm not going to be unboxing the kit. One thing that I've done some research on through a couple of forums is they want you to do this little kit. It comes with a gasket and the device itself. This is your cam chain tensioner. There's your stock cam chain tensioner. It is an automatic tensioner, and this is a manual tensioner. Say it works better for higher RPMs, and it's a lot better to adjust. It's easier to just deal with in general. Plus, you get a little bit of bling factor. You can get it in either red or blue or black, and I think maybe silver. I'm not sure. But yeah, we got that. I have a fuel filter for whenever it goes back together. That's always a good idea with a brand new build, along with an oil filter. The only thing that I'm kind of skeptical on is the oil filter. I don't think these bikes have oil filters, so I'm going to pull off the other cover whenever I decide to do the clutch kit, because I'm going to be doing a Barnett Dirt Master or Dirt something or other clutch kit. It's about $100. And then other than that, yeah, I already have the exhaust. Putting in a Pro filter. It's just a little better than stock, but I'm going to be modifying my airbox further, so you guys will get more in-depth videos of this. I just wanted to do a little 150 review type thing. Everybody knows I like 2 strokes better than 4 strokes, but I've had this bike. This is the first bike that I ever raced on a track, and I raced it in the 85 class. I got my ass whooped, so this is basically my play bike, my pit bike, my trail bike, whatever you want to call it. I consider it a pit bike because it's not a full-size bike, and pit bikes, like the actual size of a pit bike, is way too small for me. I'm not a very tall person, but I'm not very nimble, so I'm not comfortable on like a CRF 50 or a KLX 110 or a TTR 110, anything like that. The smallest bike I'll pretty much ride and have fun on is basically a TTR 125. And ever since I got this bike, I've wanted to do this 150 kit. So I bought this 150 kit about a year and a half ago. Never put it in. The bike's just kind of been sitting around. So I'm going through the entire bike. I'm going to be doing linkage bearings. It already has the 2002 YZ85 front assembly, such as the forks, the front wheel, the front brakes, clutch perch, triple clamps, things like that. I'm going to be doing handlebars. I got the linkage bushings in the mail. The battery is still good, surprisingly. I'm going to be charging that, kind of clean up the terminals a little bit. I'm going to be rebuilding the carburetor. It's a little dirty, and some of the O-rings in it are kind of messed up. I got to jet the carburetor. It'll be a 112.5 main jet and a 17.5 pilot jet. So that'll make that breathe a lot better. And then little things like restyled front fender, make it look a little better with the same number plate. I don't currently have the number plate. I sold that with my OEM forks. Yeah, so I'm just going to be going over the bike necessarily, making sure everything's legitimate, making it look good, making it perform good the way I've wanted it to. It needs a new front tire and front tube. It won't hold air. And the tire's pretty much shot. Back tire's good enough for now. Like I said, it's just a pit bike. But yeah, I'm going to basically be building this 125 the way I wanted to, other than the BBR Premier frame, or perimeter frame, which A, are obnoxiously expensive, and B, they don't make anymore. That frame will run you about $3,000, and that's what I paid for the bike brand new. I bought it in 2010 as a 2007 leftover. So just the fact that A, the battery's still alive and everything, that's really cool. And it's just not worth the money to invest all that stuff in it. I basically made my money back on the 85 that I put the forks on that bike for. So I basically broke even so far, and this bike has just been kind of a project I've always wanted to do. I mean, I've had a lot of my buddies ride this thing. They beat the ever-living hell out of it. I beat the ever-living hell out of it. And, I mean, you can still see the cross hatches in the cylinder. There is not a nick or a scrape in this thing. I mean, this thing's been beaten hard, like hard. And I've never really done anything to it. I've never even changed the oil. I drained the oil out of this thing, and it was dark. But there was, like, little to zero material in the oil at all. So, other things I'm going to be doing is, like, front sprocket. You can see the teeth are a little hooked over. Rear sprocket chain. The chain was completely shot. You could hear it rattling, and it was pretty atrocious sounding. I'm going to clean up a couple of things on it, like just cleaning some of the corrosion off the case. I want to powder coat a couple of things, maybe like the covers and like the plugs in the side of the motor, stuff like that, you know, just little things. I'm debating on replacing my cam chain. I should, but it's in such good shape, I probably won't. And, I mean, the 150 kit, realistically, I mean, you're only gaining 25 cc's, but I think it takes the motor from a stock 8 horsepower to about 12. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect. Like I said, I'm more of a 2-stroke guy. This 4-stroke stuff's kind of new to me. It is what it is, but yeah, that's the plan. The next video I'll show you hopefully the engine back inside of the bike, and then we'll be dressing up the rest of the bike from there. I ordered the linkage bearings as of about 10 or 15 minutes ago, so whenever they come in, I'm just going to install them. That's nothing really fancy. It's just bushings. It's not actual like bearings and stuff like that. They're stupid easy to put in. You just disassemble it, put them in, or clean it, put it in, and then reassemble it. Like I said, it's dumb easy. So yeah, I'll go into detail on the rest of the bike in another video. But yeah, hopefully I'll show you guys the 150 kit put back together and everything, put back in the bike, get it all dressed up and ready to be thrown back in the bike. I want to pressure wash the frame and stuff. There's dirt pretty much everywhere in it. I don't have the box in here right now, but I have the gas tank and all the plastics, the exhaust, all that stuff. I want to header wrap the exhaust to prevent it from rusting and stuff, because it's that titanium coating stuff, and it gets pretty nasty looking. My buddy Max rolled it a couple of times, so there's some scuffs on the silencer, and I want to clean up the plastics, a few things like that, and then I'm putting handlebars and a couple other knickknacks and doodads here and there on it, basically doing what I did to the 125, just going over stuff that I haven't done over the years, and we just wrote it and neglected it. It's hard to have a lot of projects and keep them all running and in good shape. So, especially with the number of bikes and stuff that we have here. So, this is obviously a mess. I'm going to go through and clean up and put away the stuff that I don't need anymore, such as the stock cylinder and the stock piston, and then like wrist pins and stuff like that. Some of the hardware I'm going to go get stainless stuff for, like these cylinder bolts that go through these two holes. They're Allen heads. I'm going to get stainless Allen heads. A couple other little bolts here and there, and then hopefully get this thing reassembled. The cylinder and cam chain and everything like that shouldn't be the big thing. It's just getting the timing right. So I'm going to have to pull the flywheel off, make sure the timing marks on the back and everything are good. And then the new cam will go in here. I don't think it comes with bearings. So, I mean, these bearings feel good. There's some pressure on it right now, so I can't even rotate it. But, yeah, everything on this bike this thing, for the most part, is fucking spotless. I mean, the surfaces are still shiny. I gotta clean up some of them just from a little bit of leakage and stuff here and there. I'd like to, just dress it up, make it look good, put it back together, and hopefully this thing will run for the next, 20 years or so. It's a Yamaha 4-stroke. They're notorious for lasting forever. And hopefully the 150 will wake this thing up a little bit. The next video I'll also address as to why these things are such a bad bike to cold start. They're a miserable thing to get started when it's cold. They have a very big hiccup in the top end and mid-range, and a lot of the times they will bog out just from like stupid little things. Like there'll be a little bit of moisture in the air. It'll be kind of a humid day, and it will be a bear to start. I remember pulling this thing behind a truck and clicking in second gear and actually pulling it around a yard for about 10 minutes until it fired up properly, just because it was a little wet out and it was humid. Hopefully the jetting and the airflow and everything will really help, especially considering I put a performance exhaust on it with no other parts. It made it sound great, but it ran super rich. You can see how black it is in here. I mean, it's all carbon. The inside of the exhaust ports and stuff, you can just wipe black stuff out of it. It always ran super rich, and it was such a bear. So hopefully everything will fire right up. It won't blow black smoke anymore. It'll, burn like it's supposed to. Carburetor definitely needs some addressing. I'd like to see if they make a choke kit, because it has that stupid plunger style choke thing with a cable actuator. I want to see if I can get a manual choke set up, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to find that choke underneath, because these 4-stroke models. Another note, I'm doing a bunch of cable rerouting. They had a bunch of unnecessary vent lines for this carburetor. They would run from your vent tubes and stuff all the way up to your I guess this is your vent. They ran all the way up to your frame, and it was a bunch of goofy stuff. I don't know. I did not like it. So we're going to be going kind of the 2-stroke route, where all the cables, or all the, you can't see it on there, all the vent tubes will come right off the carburetor and down past the case of the engine in the back here, and then through the swing arm like it should. They have a stupid EGR setup. Or I guess it wouldn't be EGR because it's not exhaust gas recycling, but your vent, your crankcase vent would vent right into your air box, and because of it having moisture from the oil in it, it would really gum up your air filter and your jets and stuff, and that's another reason why they'd run like hell. So I'm just going to take some vent line and run that down like normal. So if it pukes up a little bit of oil, that's fine. That's just how some dirt bikes are. They'll puke a little bit of oil, especially if you're a little bit heavy on your amount that's in the crankcase. But yeah, hopefully that will kind of settle itself out. It'll run a lot cleaner. It's not California recommended, but it is what it is. So there's no play in this connecting rod at all. Everything on it is, this bike is basically bulletproof from factory. The only thing that I was thinking about actually getting done to it machine wise was this right here is a Flywheel Weight, and it is obnoxiously heavy. They made that for beginners and stuff, which makes the clutch super smooth, but it makes it very direct and abrupt. I'd like to remove that weight, but you have to send it out for them to remove it and then balance it. And then apparently if you don't have a big bore kit or anything like that, it makes it obnoxiously hard to ride, especially if you're a beginner, because it makes it like a race bike. The flywheel's super light, so you have to keep your momentum away in the actual movement of the bike to keep it running. If you try to pull out kind of like you would on a TTR, a lot of the time it'll stall out, so you have to use a lot higher RPMs. So I mean, I think I'd be fine. I race two strokes. All two strokes are is momentum. They don't pull out very nice. And the race four strokes, I've raced a couple of them, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to leave the heavy flywheel and leave it a thumper. I'm keeping the stock gear ratio, but I'm going to change all the sprockets and chain. Like I said earlier, they were just beat. So, yeah, this video's gone on long enough. I hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you in the next TTR build. I'd like to get a bunch of other projects done, but I'm limited with time and filming and everything. It's kind of difficult, so we will catch you in the next one. Have a good one.